Hi, welcome to PJ and the Beard. This is our 19 conversation series. This is episode 47. And we've been really lucky throughout the series to bring on great guests. And today's no exception. So from Walrus Audio, we have Colt Westbrook on the show today. How you doing, Colt?
Hey, I'm good. I'm really excited to be on here with you guys. So feel honored that I somehow snuck in and made the list. So thank you.
I told Jason to close the door.
Yeah, I don't think it was sneaking in. I mean, you were on the list right from the get-go. It's just how long it takes to make it.
I'm pumped. I'm glad to be here.
Because we got to be stealthy, right? We had to befriend enough other pedal manufacturers on Facebook. So when a friend requested you, you went, "Oh, he must be somebody because he knows these guys," and then slip you the invite. And that's
slide right? The DMs, man. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. No, so, it's great. It's great.
So how are things? I mean, first question: how are things out there where you're at with social distancing? Are you guys still working and all that?
It's terrible. It's just terrible. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I just want to start out with a bummer. Start out with a big old wait.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh man. What if I just can we start the show out with me crying?
We'll turn into a
Is that okay? All right. So, yeah, I mean we're about a minute and a half in and you just started crying.
We'll sponsor Compassion Children before this is over.
There we go. No, we're good. So we started working from home at the end of March. So the Oklahoma governor and the Oklahoma City mayor, both in tandem, kind of put a shelter in place, stay at home in place. There's so many different words for it, and one of those, and so we all went home. The development lab got packed up because we're in the midst of developing 3 products right now that are in the finalish stages, and so that went home. I went home, took my external monitor home, set up on my dining room table with my cool wireless keyboard, had my space station set up for my kids to come play at mainly, and so then there are some builds that are honestly easier than others, and some are way more complicated, and so some of the easier builds, we gave the builders all the kits, and they took a big old, filled their back seats up with a week's worth of production parts, and went home, started building pedals from home. And then we were able to have, at that time, 2 guys here at different parts of the warehouse, being able to kind of, package stuff, test stuff, fulfill orders, and not have to share a bathroom. So that was another plus. And then, just this week, we've started, kind of all slowly, coming back into the shop here at Walrus. So, yeah.
So how many people is that? How many people under your purview?
There are 17-ish people here. Yeah. Some are more human than others, and then some, are just so crazy. And if you're watching and you're back there, you know exactly who you are. So 17 people in all.
And 2 cyborgs and a village.
Exactly. There used to be a guy who used to work here. He used to bring a cat, without asking, but I choose my battles. I was kind of all right, I guess we're doing cats. So cool.
Dr. Evil work for you, you're saying? Is that what
Doctor? No, not Dr. Evil, but similar attitudes sometimes. That's all good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
There looks like a good many people tuned in already. So just a quick shout out to everybody that is joining us. So, Paul Ewing is in the house, and you look, TL Puddles, Tim from Canada, Ben Combs from Canada, who has a YouTube channel as well. Who else is Steve?
Yeah, Brian Landis from a neighboring state, sort of yours, from Arkansas.
Pete Hickson, and I think we got Brody. I thought I saw Brody. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for joining in. One of the first things we typically do is clip of the day.
Right.
So we hate. By the way, we hate. almost as much as the beard. We hate the clip of the day moniker, but we've been doing it. So,
man, I was about to say, I think we should do a clip of the day. I don't know if we have one, but this needs a clip of the day like right now. It's good.
I think you're right.
It's gonna be great.
Perfect place.
So I will share the screen.
Yep. So as per usual, when we have a manufacturer on, we try to go look at the people in their family. So I just kind of perused the website, and I just picked out, somewhat randomly, a player, Joe George, that did one of the segments of theirs, like songs from the shop. So that's what we picked for today.
And Pat, I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna I don't know if your headphones, if the mic is picking up or if it's picking up through your phone. It seems quieter today than it has in the past.
I can check the volume on the phone if that matters.
Okay.
Try it out.
I just thought I'd tell you why I'm playing the clip so you can fool with it if you want.
All right. There you go.
Here we go.
Truth be told, I picked it for the curly white cable. That's really why I did it. That and there's just all kinds of cool going on there with
Joe George, dude. He is a songsmith, man. I mean, he takes that piece of wood and 6 strings and just turns it into. I mean, every time you hear him play, whether if it's like at NAMM or like just when you're in Chicago hanging out or doing something like this, I mean, he just transforms it into like a beautiful song making siren. I mean, he's just a parts king, you know. Can't say enough good things about Joe George.
Well, glad that my randomness hit a home run. Of course, I feel like I could have done that with any of your artists I clicked on because I did watch a couple of them. But the first question is a softball. Brian Lambert, we call him Uncle Brian, wants to know where you're from, and I know where this question, but go ahead, tell him.
It's a long story. No, I am. I am from. I say Stillwater, Oklahoma. I am from Stillwater, Oklahoma. That's where I did.
Over the Cowboys. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's where I did most of my childhood years. A couple of years like in Austin and in Miami, Florida. But I mean, Stillwater, Oklahoma is it's where I come from. So Oklahoma for since like 1995. So Oklahoma, born and bred. Proud of the coffee here, proud of the beer that's here, proud of the Thunder, no matter what's happening, you know, lots of good stuff in Oklahoma.
One thing I didn't tell Colt in our pre-interview, because we got to talking about all kinds of stuff. My dad was in the military, so I was at Fort Sill in Lawton for 10 years.
There you go.
My brother went to OSU for a year, and so they asked him to pursue his academic interests elsewhere. He's not listening, so I can.
That happens to some people, man. It just happens, yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting part of the world.
That's awesome, dude. Lawton is a cool town, and then just north of Lawton is one of our favorite spots in the whole state. It's called the Wichita Wildlife Refuge.
Oh yeah.
And they have these. I mean,
prairie dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful granite mountains. You know, Oklahoma mountains. I mean, you know, you can get a good workout in a day. It's a nice day trip, and they've got this cute little mountain town there called Mears, and you can stop in after your hike, go to a taco stand, get a beer. Man,
the bison burger at Mears when I grew up.
Yeah.
Legendary. Yeah.
So very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So now we'll let everybody else back in the conversation. There you go.
Sure.
Well, before we move away from that clip too far, that's episode 17 of Songs from the Shop. So you want to just tell people what the Songs from the Shop thing is about?
Yeah. So pedal demos are super boring. Honestly, most of them are pretty boring. And I'm sorry for all the pedal demo guys that are in here. You're not boring. Like just, you know, it just get like over and over, you know, it's like, you know, oh, what does this knob do? It's like, oh, well, one, like we need it, you know? So, and we do our own pedal demo for everything. And then it's like, man, what else can we do to like, at least kind of like showcase the pedals, but sometimes we don't showcase our pedals. So back in 2015, there was this band spearheaded by a couple guys, and one of the guys' name was Tyler Spry, and he now does a lot of work with One Republic. But they're in Los Angeles, and they're just kind of getting started, and they're like, hey, if you send us like a bunch of pedals for free, we'll make a sick video of one of our songs. And I was kind of like, I don't know, sure, yeah, we'll see what you got. Anyway, and they produced this video, and it's on our YouTube channel, I think, from Rose Summit, and it was just like, it was all taken in one shot, and it was like a beautiful song, and the textures and the tones were wonderful. The lighting was great, and I was like, dang, I was like, that is really inspiring. It's really cool. So then it got me thinking, I was like, we should do bands. We should just have bands come in all the time and film great music. So I started out local. And so we had a local band called Horse Thief, not so local anymore, but Horse Thief. And then another band called Sports come in and do the first two. And then a band called Lord Huron was coming through, and like, we're like, man, let's just roll the dice and see if like Lord Huron wants to do one. And so we reached out to Lord Huron, and they said yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, is this real? And they showed up in like 2 Ubers and with like guitars not in cases, and just like got out of the car, like, what did we set up? I was like, okay, we're doing this. Awesome. And then it kind of got some legs after, Lord Huron and those other guys had done it. And, we've been able to be in with artists like Julian Baker and Thrice, Mute Math, Taylor Goldsmith from Dawes came. That's one where like our pedals weren't featured, but like the best songwriting ever was featured. So it's really great. It's really just it's just to put out some content that people want to watch. That's not necessarily like asking for a sale at the end, go to Walrus Audio to purchase yours today, It's just something to kind of like, because the end game with pedals is songs, the end game with pedals are as albums and our concerts, and if we can just be a part of that and inspiring people to actually do the end game rather than, going into debt, buying a bunch of gear, then that's kind of the goal with Songs at the Shop. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And
cool. Great.
For us, I think it's nice. Like I really like that. I like going out and seeing, because I like pedal demos too, but in pedal demos, you're kind of looking for something maybe specific. I think it's cool to be able to see that side of it first. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
I should backtrack.
Yeah.
I love pedal demos. So,
you're right.
We're trying to film. It's just like, we've got a pedal demo. What else could we do
No
ourselves?
need to backpedal here, man. You're fine.
Yeah. I'm getting some hate. In these comments.
But to your point, though, even with Jason and I, we kind of developed a little formula that there's maybe a little bit of playing in the intro, like something. Then we kind of get into the pedal and the features, and then in the outro, we try to feature it maybe a little bit different way, or we play together and somebody use a little bit of drive. Like we try, but it is cool when
totally
you kind of do the whole band thing and see things in context, because that's our little petri dish is in Jason's basement there, and then we tend to play together at church, and so then they wind up on the boards there, and they kind of do the band thing after the fact. But
that's why you guys are great, and then like pedal demo guys that can kind of make kind of do their own process and branding and their own kind of culture. Those are the guys I feel like that stick around, when they have a process, like exactly what you're saying. And people like, like Living Room Gear demos, or even like Ryan at 60 Cycle Hum, like they have their own way and their own methods and their own thing that they're going for. And that way you kind of, they just develop their own like cult following, and people will only listen to what they have to say about something. So,
right.
Well, yeah. Like if you're going to look for something and you start to know like who does it and how they do it. So you know what you're going to get, you know what you want to look for.
Yeah.
Speaking of pedals, should we do a pedal of the day, Pat?
We might have a couple.
Yeah.
Pedals of the day.
My first introduction to Walrus was the Phoenix. I needed a power supply that could handle things like the Source Audio Nemesis or the Drive Bell Vibe machine that had like kind of higher outputs or higher current draws or whatever. And that pedal, I think it has 15. Am I right about that?
15 ounce.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's real. It's sweet. And I didn't dig it out. And I'm not going to dig it out because it's doing what it's supposed to do and it's living where
Don't you do it, man. Once you do that, it's just like, you got to rearrange the whole board. You know? It's a terrible idea.
So we have 2 that we can show. And I think we've shown both of these already. But, and I purposely, you know, like Josh Scott is just perpetuating he has the box theme. But nice packaging, right?
Yeah.
Packaging is sweet. You got your guys. Walrus's swag game is over the top too. By the way,
Thanks, man.
Well,
That's
we were afraid we were going to get somebody fired today, though, because when we got these 2 pedals, we got like an inordinate amount of swag. So we're not going to show you everything that was sent to us because, you know, you'd like to still have 17 employees. Unless
Totally.
You want to get rid of the cat dude, we'll say he did it.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, cat dude, he didn't work here anymore. He's a
it
sweet
was
guy.
it was the cat dude.
He gave out too much swag. He's out.
No, it wasn't cat dude. That's
The guy that I reached out to because so just for background, we did a series on Leslie pedals. We did like 25 or 20. I don't know. Did a bunch of Leslie pedals. Tried to cover everything that was kind of out, and then somehow that has kind of morphed, modulated, if you will, into a series on tremolo pedals.
Good.
And so we reached out to Walrus to ask about getting a tremolo pedal, and then ended up because right about that time or around that time, this one came out too. And so this is the Kangra.
Yep.
And some of my favorite things, that high octave fuzz, the envelope filters, both in one pedal with, I mean, come on. It's like, I'm not particularly sure where I'm going to use it in a praise and worship theme. Not playing in a blues band anymore, but if I was still doing,
well, then it's a sound check pedal. You know, there's some pedals you can't use them, but we just call them sound check pedals.
it will find it. So that's the Kangra, and then Pat had
Going along with the tremolo theme, we got it in. We got the Monument version 2.
Yeah.
Really unique color. And I like the howling wolf or coyote, whichever. Probably in Oklahoma. Coyote? I don't know.
It's like a wolfody or something.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's a wolf.
Walrus Odie with Odie.
Yeah, I love that powder coat. It's called what is that called? It's copper something, copper wine or something. But I love that. I saw it first on Tapestry Audio's time machine. What is it called? Time Traveler.
There you go.
And so I reached out to Ryan over at Tapestry Audio. I was like, dude, can I please jack this powder coat? Where did you get this? And then he gave me permission. And so,
he got it from like a 69 Dodge Barracuda or something. But I just noticed those 2 lights kind of look like wolf eyes, kind of looking at you in the dark.
Yeah, that's totally intentional.
I'm sure. This is great. I mean, the truth be told, these came like literally right before the shelter.
I think it was like a couple days after the stay-at-home orders.
Was it? Because they're shipped to Jason's place, and he's like sending me little phone clips of it, and then he, under the cover of darkness, slipped this onto my porch last night, so I got to play it a little bit today. It's
nice. Yeah, tremolo's underrated, man. It's got to make a comeback. I mean, I feel like we're so obsessed with delay in reverb, but I mean, we forget that tremolo has power too. Tremolo has the power to move people. So I'm glad we're talking trem.
One question though, tell me the genesis of that, right? Walrus or die? It's pretty bold. I mean, you crack open the case, and that's the first thing you see. You're like, okay, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's interpretation's up to you, I guess. I don't know. So I know that there was something written there when we were demoing and getting samples for our new boxes, and our creative director, he put something there, and I hated it, and I was like, that's just so cheesy. Or it said something like, take a picture and post it to Instagram. Something like, okay, sure, yeah, But I was like, man, let's put something metal right there, something that makes people scared, and that's what we came up with. So
we cautiously opened it and thought maybe there was a serpent in the bag, and it was like a snake catching bag or something. But yeah, again, man, it's nice.
Well, thanks, man. It's something you can use again and put like your slide and your picks in, or whatever when you're gigging, those kind of things. It also works as I use it to like polish the humbuckers, on the guitar. And it's great for that, or just kind of like, wiping the elbow grease off the top of the guitar if you need to. There you go. Exactly.
Clean your old man glasses. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So it's useful for a lot of things.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
A couple of people down in the chat.
That's right. Yep.
Pete Hickson popping in. Dave Barber did pop in. There's Dave saying hi to Colt.
What's up, Dave?
Reminding everyone that he doesn't like pedal demos unless someone does them for them, then he's okay with them. Yeah, this is the version 2. Version 2.
Yep.
Was the question about that? Yeah.
It's the V2. Not a lot of big changes between the V1 and the V2. I mean, the enclosure, obviously, and then, but the circuit stayed pretty much the exact same.
Colt, I wanted to share a little inside secret with you that, Jason and I have been doing the channel for maybe 14, 15 months, but this item right here was almost the demise of the channel. This came in part of the swag. Jason already had one because he had the power supply that's the opposite. It's the teal with the black. And I'm like, ooh, Daddy likes this one. And I think, there's Jason's, and here's mine.
I don't know. They're both cool.
So I
think he has the cool one.
We just changed it up. We made them smaller, and now they have the monument on there. So these aren't out yet, but they start shipping with pedals here in a couple weeks or so.
I have one.
There you go. So yeah.
So that will be with the next pedal we order.
Yeah.
There you go. I hope so.
We'll send you a self-addressed stamp envelope.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll just pop it in there.
But I thought the most interesting thing was that somehow in the swag, you knew what my favorite pick was. You put one of the Dunlop Jazz 3s in there. That was really nice of you.
Yeah, no. That was in special request on the order notes that came through the website. So
it was amazing.
We have to comply 100% with all that stuff. It's the law.
Customer service.
So
it's the law.
Before we move away from the pedal of the day, Pat, I think, and I don't know, Cole, if this is your area of expertise or not, but harmonic trem.
Yes.
Yeah.
We keep asking for the definition of harmonic trem because it's one of those things that people seem to be a little confused.
So what's happening is it's separating your high frequencies and your low frequencies. And like standard tremolo is, oscillating it, in a volume drop and bringing it back in at whatever speed that you set. And then harmonic tremolo is the same, except it is ramping up the highs as it's ducking out the lows, and then ramping up the highs and then ducking out the lows, and then ramping up the lows and then ducking out the highs. So you really don't experience any volume loss, like not in a bad way, but you don't experience any volume loss like you would with a standard tremolo. Instead, you get you hear your guitar the entire time, and then the result is kind of this more phasey, chewy tremolo sound.
Yeah,
that is what's happening.
We should have like little cards. We should get like little 1 to 10 cards to rate these descriptions. I give it 10.
It sounds really cool. So guys that have made it cool recently, like guys like Blake Mills or Taylor Goldsmith at Dawes, and but I've started to use it a lot, and I actually use it, and I turn the rate really low, and kind of when it's time for parts or shredding, it kind of just adds a little texture. You can't really hear it. And if you're like me, who needs pedals that have a little bit of forgiveness, it helps quite a bit, and it also adds a little bit of texture. You can't really tell it's on until you turn it off. So, man, I love the harmonic trem. Can't say enough about it.
In the chat, somebody asked if it's skirting the Univibe territory.
Yeah, I mean, they're all, it's not like a hard wall between anything. I mean, they're all kind of linked and married in some way, phaser and Univibe, harmonic trem, all that kind of stuff. They're all birthed from, similar moms. Is that even a thing to say? But I said yeah.
I like similar moms. That's good. We try to pull something out of each one. Similar moms.
That's my next band name, though. Similar moms.
Or similar wives. All right, then. I mean,
wives.
Bosco France, who was on, he said he wears his wedding ring on the right hand just to remind himself that he married the wrong woman.
That's dark. That's very dark.
Yeah. We'll put similar moms in that category, but more towards the bright end of the rainbow.
No way. It's because of his slide.
I know, but he did correct us. Because I think his wife heard him and he corrected us.
It's a great moment. It's a great moment when he says that.
It is.
So
my audio is still bad. I'll tell you what. Let me step out for a second because these might be a different headset than I normally use. So you guys talk among yourselves.
Sounds great to me.
Well, Jason said something in the beginning, and then Tim in the chat is saying something. So
and I'm not sure. It could just be that Colt's mic is really loud. That his mic is just
too loud.
It's Colt's
well, I don't think it's too loud. It just could be that it's louder than we're normally. I don't know. I think
just give me a second. It's literally 5 feet away. Just give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Guitar pedals.
So we were talking beforehand. So I mean, I've been looking at Walrus stuff for a while, but I did go out and jump into the rabbit hole of. And is my screen still? Hold on. Let me just share my screen real quick. It's such a pain to do this on here, but it works. I did go out and start looking at the D1 high fidelity stereo delay.
Yeah.
And this thing. When we're done with this, go look at some of your stuff that you put out about it and some of the other stuff that's out there. Sounds fantastic. And that's a pretty new pedal.
Yeah, it came out. We dropped it at NAMM this last year in January.
And I'm sorry, I'm doing all kinds of goofy stuff.
You fine?
It's totally new design for you guys, though.
Yeah. So yes and no. We came out with the Luminary, which is a quad octave, like an octave generator in 2016. And we developed that on similar hardware that's in the D1. So we kind of had the framework of where we knew we wanted to go packed into the Luminary. And then we kind of redesigned a lot of it. Obviously like fresh DSP code, because it's not an octave pedal, it's a delay. And then, so, I mean, that we were working on that probably at the top of 2019 and then, dropped it at NAMM in 2020. So yes, a brand new pedal for us and a new platform, that we're going to keep tooling around with.
Yeah. And then lots of really, probably, I don't know, maybe too much to get into, but it does do like the tape mod and the adding the H. Like you have the tweak button that does some of that, right? And then you have 5 different presets on it. 5 different presets on it.
9. So you can have preset. Yeah. And then 128 via MIDI. But who's going to use 128 presets? If you do, honestly, like if you get to 128, I think you're a loser. But man, if you're right at 127, man, you're awesome. So I use 3. I'm a 3 preset guy, So I don't want to do any more than that. But I know there's a lot of guys that they have a different delay setting for every song. And I'm just not that kind of guitar player. But we like to build stuff for those types of guitar players, and that's great.
Right, and then 5. When I said it wrong, right? 5 different programs, I guess.
Yeah, there's 5 programs, different delay emulations on there, and then that switch in the middle, the ABC switch. Those are different preset banks, and in each of those ABC banks, you have 3 presets that you can cycle through. And
then depending on what, so you would hit. And I mean, I love these pedals that are really could potentially be very complicated, easy to use, right? So tap on both buttons, you're in the preset, and then toggle through the different color lights to know which one you're in.
Yep. That's it.
Literally, I watched a video last night and I know how to run the pedal. So, I mean, there's a lot of functionality there, but easily accessible.
That's kind of the Walrus rule, is no hidden menus, and everything that the pedal can do has to be on the face. So if there's an idea in a meeting we have and it's like, oh, if you could like hold this down and then hold the switch and then turn the switch and then hit the toggle, it's like, that's not allowed. You can't do it. There are some people that design that kind of stuff that are really good at it. And we're just, it's like really not our space. And so everything the pedal can do is on the face of the pedal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to add Pat back in. Poor Pat sitting in the waiting room.
That's one way to keep me quiet.
Yeah, that sounds better, I think.
Okay. There we go. Give the people what they want. They wanted more of me. I can't believe it. Question is, can Colt hear me?
I can totally hear you. You sound
Okay,
great.
good.
Never
Thank you
sounded
so
better.
much. That's beautiful.
And all these years.
I was
Well,
thinking while
30 minutes.
I was gone, in addition to being in Oklahoma, we have something else in common, that your mother and my mother are mothers. Like, it's...
Are you serious?
Yeah, your mother and my mother are both mothers, yes.
Are they similar?
They're similar mothers. Yeah.
I bet they're not similar. I bet they're not.
Probably not.
Yeah. I just had my mom over for Mother's Day. There's nobody like her. She's great.
You see why he wasn't quick to put me back in the stream?
Right. It was the best 3 minutes of the show.
That's right.
It's great.
Can we jump back up to the very first question? Because that delay pedal is amazing. I did watch the video as well. But so our friend Matthew Holbrook, he's asked this question when he first saw that we were going to talk to you. He has a Mayflower and he loves it, and he wants to know if you'll tell us who you got your studio lights from in a parking lot in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we film a lot of video, between songs at the shop, demos, full band, pedal play, all that kind of stuff. So we need a lot of lighting. Unless we're using natural light, we just kind of open the back garage door and use the sun. But other than that, we use a lot of lights. And so we're always we're always trying to do things on a budget, and trying to score deals wherever we can from Craigslist. And our creative director, Tyler, or Jason, our engineer, Jason, one of the two, found these lights on Craigslist and said some guy who runs a zoo is basically getting rid of all of his studio equipment.
My Lord.
Gold mine. And so Tyler goes down and meets him. And if you've been to Oklahoma City, the Bass Pro parking lot is like the best meeting place because it's huge and open and doesn't feel, super sketchy, surrounded by nice roads and, nice landscaping. So they decide to meet in the Bass Pro parking lot. And so Tyler goes down there and it is the Tiger King himself. It's before Netflix and all that stuff, obviously, because he's in prison and Grady County Jail. But he was like, "Hey, you're Joe Exotic," and he's like,
"Oh yeah, I'm Joe Exotic." Yeah. He's like, "I just try to get rid of the studio, just trying to get rid of all these lights." He's like, "I got to get out of the country. I got to get out of here. I got to do something." And it's kind of like he was kind of looking off in the distance, and Tyler's trying to talk to him, but his brain was just like super heavy and clouded. And this was probably early 2009, 2018, kind of right around there. And so he came back to the shop. He's like, "You guys are not going to believe who I bought these lights from." He's like, "Joe Exotic." I'm like, "The guy that ran for governor?" I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, right. For a minute. Yeah, right.
The libertarian guy. It was like, wow, cool. That's so interesting. Then Tiger King came out, and we were like, "Oh, dude, very tough."
I'll tell you what,
Colt, worth something now.
Colt, with that, impression that you did, if they needed to do a reenactment of the docudrama,
I'd do it.
I think I'm looking at the next Joe Exotic. I think that would be fantastic. I mean, minus the drug habit and all the other murder for hire. Other than that, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Do I need to watch this? I mean, I don't need to
now.
watch it.
Listen, you don't. It's just it's just like, because once you watch it, you have to finish it.
Oh, absolutely.
And usually it's like, it picks up in the middle and gets better towards the end. It just, every episode gets worse and worse and worse. And you're like, oh my gosh, and it's like putting your dog down and it's like, this is so sad. Let's just stop. And it's like, no, you have to finish the job. You gotta put the dog all the way down. And then, so it's terrible. If you haven't watched it, don't watch it.
So this is a hard no. I mean, this is a joke you don't need to be in on.
Oh my gosh!
It's a mesmerizing 7-series episode. I mean, you can't believe a lot of it's real, but it is real, And it's like, but to us in Oklahoma, it's like, yeah. I mean, I went to high school with a lot of. I didn't actually go to high school with these people, but it's like I know these characters. It's like it's the not a surprise to me from Stillwater, Oklahoma. So,
Well,
yeah.
Brian Landry said he couldn't get through it. If he can't get through it, what would he say? I'm fixing not to watch that.
That's right, exactly.
It's pretty rough.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is a fantastic. Skip, thank you for that gold mine of a question. I had no idea what the answer was, but as soon as you started saying that, I'm like, oh my goodness, we are going for Joe Exotic here.
Yeah.
Oh my!
I'd still vote for him. If he was still running for governor here. So I don't know if he's watching this. Just say you run for it again. You have my vote. It's great.
The comments are great. Brian says it's like Jerry Springer on acid. My brain was dying as I watched.
Yeah, it's rough. It's pretty rough.
I can't.
So, but the thing about it is, though, I mean, there's a couple of characters in there like Doc Antle, Carol Baskins, and you just kind of there's like a common theme between exotic animal collectors. I mean, and they're all just very strange. So I don't know what other industry there is out there where all the people that run the companies or the businesses all kind of have the same off-color, very weird, strange tinted glasses they see the world through. But like exotic zoos, those are some weird people. So
is the real behind the scenes moment here is that cat dude was actually an intern that was really Joe Exotic that worked for you at one point? Is that where?
No, I wish, man. I wish. Golly, I wouldn't hire him. Honestly, it would just be terrible.
Yeah, David Barber's trying to herd these cats.
Well, no, he's asking if pedal building is one of the industries that's run by a bunch of strange people.
Yeah, as soon as I started saying that, I was kind of like, oh man, am I the thing? Like, if you don't know somebody like this, it's you. It's like, oh yeah, probably might be something
sad but
to
true.
Look into. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah,
that's great. All right. So what else is happening? Well, you said you have 3 things in the work, which I doubt we're talking about. But what else is happening?
Hey, listen, there's no Summer NAMM. If you want to launch them on our show, it's fine. Like, you can go ahead.
There is no Summer NAMM. I'm really sad about it. We're working on 3 other things. We'll have. You should see something drop in June. Pretty soon. We're pretty close to dropping some fresh stuff, and I'm excited about it. That's really all I can say. So, and then we're working on other things, and those things are going to come out after the thing comes out in June. So, yeah, that's what I know. That's what I know.
Well, Pat, you got to write that down because maybe we can.
Great things.
If we can start getting back together to record stuff, maybe we can get one of the things that drops in June.
You guys are kind of on the inside, so you guys could for sure get the June deal done a little bit early. So yeah,
that would be cool. All right.
Dan Mowry just popped in. Dan Mowry is a friend of ours, a guy we know locally, builds pedals. You've got like 3 different pedal builders in this stream here today.
Hey, Dan. Good to see ya. Good to know ya.
We're looking at. I've been watching the chat for questions. So, is there any questions? Now that we're done with the Tiger King,
I think they're still stunned by Joe Exotic. I think they're all like replaying in their heads. Like Brody said, that's an hour of his life he'll never get back. Probably thinking of like you could have hugged your children more or something. Like anything but that.
There's so many more positive things to watch out there. That's just like, yeah. Like I would have rather done Daniel Tiger, honestly, rather than Tiger King. So
there is a legitimate question from Paul Ewing.
Live.
Oh, he did. Grandchildren, yes.
I did Daniel Tiger live with my grandkids.
Yeah,
it was an experience.
Paul Ewing has a question there, Jason.
Yeah, I saw it. It says, and I think that's kind of what we just touched on, maybe, but we're not able to touch on that. So we'll maybe.
So what's inside? I have one on my desk. And I'll crack it open here. There's delay inside. And so that's how I'm just kidding. So inside is it's mostly the horsepower is the Analog Devices Shark DSP chip. It has a lot of capabilities. It's what we started on with when we released the Luminary, and then transferred it into the Mako series. And so using that chip and this hardware platform that we've developed, that is what's at the heart of the Mako series, what makes it run. And so, yeah, thankful for analog devices. It's great. It's good stuff.
I like it. So do you, stepping away from the pedals, I guess, for a second, until we get another question, which we probably just had one, but like you were player first and then kind of morphed into pedals? You've always been fascinated with technology?
Yeah, no, the story is, I've played guitar just like everyone in this, chat room and live stream here for a long time. And then I went to college for business management. And then I did a stint for about 6 years at an energy company here in Oklahoma City as a business analyst. And so, lots of data and querying. No, I had an office, dude. I wasn't in a cubicle. I had an office. Okay. Yeah, man. Come on.
Maybe not a corner office, but maybe an actual door. That's good. I like it.
It was the door shut.
Cool. That's good. That's big time.
And so Walrus started in 2011 with an investor, the same guy that was behind Mammoth Electronics. And so he then with capital from that, wanted to start Walrus Audio in 2011. And then there's another guy named Brady Smith from who's now owns and runs Old Blood Noise endeavors. And then Brady kind of took Walrus and ran the company from about 2011 to 2014. And then after in 2014, he went to go start Old Blood Noise endeavors. And then that's when I came in from Chesapeake Energy, from the energy company, and came into Walrus to just kind of do my best to fill Brady's shoes.
Energize it with your energy background.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why you have like 1 million pedal companies in Oklahoma. And
right. Yeah, it is kind of like a mecca. So, like, who would have thought, right? Like, it's
yeah.
Pretty amazing.
And we talked a little bit about Mammoth going away because we had John Cusack on a little while back, and John Cusack bought a lot of that, right?
Yeah, he did. He bought a lot of it.
Was trying to bribe people to come help him load his truck or whatever.
Yeah,
yes.
John Cusack made off with a real good deal. So yeah, he bought a ton of it. Yeah, they had kind of a garage sale, down here, and so Mammoth's previous owner, he sold Walrus, and then he's doing a lot of other like much more bigger things that are actually really exciting and really cool. So, yeah, sad to see Mammoth. It would be cool to see a company kind of come in and step up in Mammoth's shoes, because I know Mammoth was kind of revolutionary in a lot of ways for pedal building in general. There wasn't say like in 2000 up until like 2010, there really wasn't like a one-stop shop for pedal builders, where you could get an enclosure, where you could get the enclosure drilled, where you could get it powder coated, where you get it printed, where you could get all the jacks, potentiometers, all the components, all that kind of stuff. So Mammoth was really a one-stop shop, and probably a lot of pedal builders owe their, kind of their startup, their startup-ness, their beginning history to what Mammoth was doing. So yeah, there's a lot of drama in between there, but for the most part, Mammoth is pretty cool.
Right. So a couple questions in the chat. We'll go with a goofy one and then a serious one. So Brody wants to know if you have ever been called upon to be a Kenny Wayne Shepherd stunt double.
Yeah, like I have an email, the Kenny Wayne Shepherd stunt double at gmail.com.
That's good.
And for any inquiries about that, you can just reach out
Nice.
to me there.
Nice. You're broad and you're Joe Exotic, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. But I thought it was a really cool. Thought it was a cool question that kind of goes to a little bit of the harder things we were kind of talking about. Of course, the screen refresh, and I got to go find it. It was I think it was Brian Landers' question.
Here, put it up.
About There you go.
I don't know if you can read that. Is there?
Among Walrus pedals, every company has a style. What would you say Walrus is known for? So that's a good question, and my only answer with that is, Walrus develops, internally tries to develop professional audio grade effects that our friends that play music professionally want to use, and also that our friends that play music professionally find easy to use, So everything that we make goes out like in a 3D printed enclosure. So like this gray plastic tank. And then the prototype boards go in there with knobs and all that kind of stuff. And we send it to we call it like the artist test chain. And then it goes kind of in a circle between all the artists, and they send back their notes and feedback and things like that. And then we kind of take those because they're better guitar players than we are. And then we take those notes, we incorporate it kind of in the next iteration of the design and things like that. So, Walrus, like we're really making things in tandem with professional artists rather than like what we think sounds good here in the shop in Oklahoma City. We're make sure it gets a lot of studio time, it gets a lot of stage time before any of the rest of the peeps even hear about it. So yeah, that's kind of the style. I guess externally, Walrus is known for graphics. I think at the time in 2011 there wasn't a lot of that going on. Earthquaker kind of had the screen print thing going on. JHS had the icon print going on, and then other than that, everything was, if it was a fuzz pedal, it was called like the Fuzz Master, or the Warble Truck, or it had like the effect name and then some different. I'm gonna start offending people. It had the effect name and then some different like attachment, like the Distortion Monster, and so Walrus, wanted to kind of step away from that and do some beautiful screen print sketch art in the beginning, and then choose more stoic, more names that had like some weight and some story to it. And so that's kind of the style, I guess. So
what have you been? Jason's showing your site there, but I have a question about what you just said. Were you yourself at Summer NAMM 2 years ago? Probably.
Yeah.
So I was at your booth, and you had all the Veritas guitars were there. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But what I noted was like it was kind of cool. Like you'd have them all kind of set up like back when we said it was like sort of like the Barnes and Noble days. Showing my age here, you got all your records, your CDs. You can put your headphones on. But I found, to your point, you can't read the name of your pedal and realize what it is, right? For me, I found myself looking at the controls, or I'm just like, what is this doing? I'm pushing buttons. It was interesting.
It's a good and a bad thing,
Right.
And so some people love it and some people hate it. And it's just not something, we address very often. So, so like when we're at NAMM, so we were like, what do all these do? And it's like the worst question to get when you're at NAMM because you're already tired. And it's like, so take me through everything real quick. And it's like, so my response to that question all the time is like, what kind of music do you like to play? And if the kind of genre isn't, maybe geared towards fuzz or delay or reverb, I'll just kind of stick to the meat and potatoes or whatever and just go from there. But yeah, we just choose to do, we choose to do it that way. We went a little different direction with the Mako series, but we're still, foot to the pedal going with the original Walrus series also in development at the same time. So
cool.
On
my blog,
I don't know if you'll have an answer to it, but put it up.
Or if the answer is June.
Is there a new dirt pedal in the works? That's a good question. So we love our overdrives. We do. We love the Voyager. We love the 385, the Warhorn. Walrus has really found its stride in things other than overdrive, which is honestly weird. But most guitar pedal companies are like built on the backbone of overdrive pedals, and I think that's a very normal thing because it's the most heavily used effect, and the thing with overdrives is there's so many out there, and not that there's not just so many out there, there's so many good ones out there also, there's so many that do so many great things, some from companies that are enormous, some that are mid-sized, and some come from companies you've never heard of. Maybe this group's heard of them, but for the most part no one's ever heard of them, but they have an amazing overdrive. And overdrives are, man, just from a development standpoint, like it's you're rolling the dice each time with an overdrive, because it's just so saturated, So if we ever do a new overdrive and a dirt box, if we ever drop one, there's a reason. And I'll just say that. We haven't done one since 2016. We have not released any overdrive since 2016. We do have the Kangra, which is a fuzz, but it's a weird, I don't count that because it's a weird filtery, dream machine of endless possibilities until you find all the possibilities, and then it's not endless anymore. But
compare that with a tremolo. Just throwing that out.
Yeah. So if Walrus ever drops an overdrive, there's a reason for it, and I'll say that.
All right.
So yeah, there's also a lot of overdrives that are back here that we developed that we never released because there wasn't a reason for it. So,
and I'll throw this up just because I know in that world that Pat and I live in sometimes, super popular pedal, probably would one of your more popular pedals. It's for sure like top 5, and it was just a big surprise, honestly. So we Chorus started making a comeback like in pop music and in indie music. I feel like I first heard Chorus come back to guitar on the because it was out for a long time. 90s they saw the last of Chorus on electric guitar and on sometimes acoustic guitar, which is still a thing, I guess. But I feel like I heard it come back in 2008 and it's probably somebody's going to post in here and be like, actually it was in 2007, but 2008 on the M83 Saturdays Equals Youth record. And I started to hear, I was like, oh my gosh, is that Chorus on guitar? And I was like, what in the world is this? And then M83, goes on to be one of the new grandfathers of, Euro pop and dream pop and chill wave and all that kind of junk that we say. But it got me thinking in 2008, 2009. But then it really wasn't until, Ryan Adams had a self-titled record come out in 2016 or 2015. I can't remember. And it was all like clean jazz master and Chorus. And that's when we were like, dude, this is so cool. It's a great sound. And then we got a bunch of Chorus pedals in here and geeked out on them. And then we released the Julia just as a fun project. And, a lot of companies aren't built on the Chorus pedals. But it really hit a spot for some reason. And I think a lot of it's the dry chorus vibrato blend that people are into. And then there's just a couple other things that people like that, we put in there on the inside.
Hey, building a company on a chorus pedal worked for Boss, so you're in good company.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually a really good point. I have to write that down.
Yeah.
Not to my mom.
You've given us like 5. That one's free.
Cool. I love that.
You can have that one. Yeah, write that one down.
I love that.
You just have to do air quotes when you say it. That's all.
Totally. So yeah, it's Chorus I feel like Chorus is making a comeback. I think somebody asked that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think chorus making a comeback, but I feel like we don't talk about vibrato enough either. I mean, vibrato is a sweet vibrato. So I use vibrato all the time, and I put my Julia first in the pedal board chain, and I leave vibrato on pretty much the entire set, and it kind of really gives this nice like saturation, tapey sound to the guitar. And you can't even like the rate is so slow. And the depth and lag are both kind of set at noon, and so it's really just kind of an extra added tone machine. But it just kind of warms up the guitar quite a bit, makes you sound better than you really are.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's the goal.
Go ahead, Jason. What?
Where did you say you put it in your chain?
First, I put it first. That's a lie. I do a compressor, and then I run an EB10, which is our kind of our EQ pedal, and then I run the Julia after that. So I run the Julia before all the overdrives, stuff like right there, and leave it on vibrato.
Awesome.
Because that was sort of a question that came up yesterday when Brian Landreth was talking about his pedal board. It was like, where, if you're running tremolo and chorus, which comes first. So you basically answered at least how you do it. I have a question, because you've already kind of broken down harmonic trem for us, because we made the very bad pun, which we're good at. We did Leslie, and then we're modulating to tremolo. But I feel like, where is vibrato in that family, right? Because you think of some classic amps, some had tremolo, there was a couple that had vibrato. Like, where would you put that in that
especially
family?
on the classic amps, the vibrato is tremolo.
Yeah.
And
right?
it's just another word for it. But really, like kind of in the pedal world, vibrato is basically the modulated signal with the dry signal taken out.
Okay.
And it's all wet signal. And basically that's why you're able on the Julia to blend between chorus and vibrato with just the pot, because it's just chorus is the dry signal and the modulated signal together. And then you're able to kind of blend out the dry signal and just get to the wet signal 100%. So basically vibrato and chorus are relatively the exact same thing, just the absence of dry signal and the presence of dry signal.
Cool. Nice. Tim from TL Pedals has to cut out, but he said, great show, and Colt, you rock. Dan Mowry, a fellow pedal builder, people have been asking, can you build a talent
pedal? Yeah,
is that possible? Like in your next,
a talent boost pedal. Talent? Yeah. It's called practice. And we encourage it. We encourage lots of practice.
We had a fellow pedal. When Brian Wampler was on, he had one of the greatest quotes ever. He said, what we need is more Melday and less eBay. So
exactly
along that same line.
So when I do these like talks at NAMM or whatever, people are like, what's the most important pedal? And I'm always just like, it's a tuner. And the most important pedal is for sure a tuner.
Nice.
So after that, it's up to you. So
first in your chain, and as we know, Boss puts a buffer. That was yesterday's discussion, buffers. But
yeah,
awesome. Looking at the time, we're what 57 minutes and 52 seconds or whatever, and we did ask Colt to come on for an hour and spend an hour with us, and we want to be respectful of that. So if there's any last minute kind of things down in the chat, you better get them in now.
My last hardball question is, you were on Josh Scott's Rock and Roll Trivia, true story?
Yeah, I was.
So you and a friend were out back cooking meats?
Yeah, we're smoking ribs, man. Yeah. Me and my bro Brad.
So my big question is, how did that turn out? Like, how did that go?
So like I'm new to smoking meat, I've been a grill guy for a long time. And then that guy, Brad, he got a new smoker, and I was kind of like, hey, you want to sell me your old smoker, or like give it to me, or like, what's up? And so he's like, I'll give it to you, and I'll come over for the day and show you how to do it. So he brought it. And he's like no electricity, none of these like, Bluetooth thermometer kind of things. It's just like, just air, wind, fire, temperature. That's it. He's a purist. Nice. And it went pretty good. One with the water pan fell over onto the coals, and that was, so we had to take the ribs and take them off the grill real quick, throw them in the oven and keep them warm before we could get the fire back up. But even in that, we managed to get 3 racks of ribs out, and it tastes pretty great. So it was a pretty good day. And smoking meat's always great because you start at 9 o'clock, and if you're smoking meat, if you're grilling or whatever outside, it's camping rules. So you can start drinking beer at 12, and that's okay.
One for you, one for the meat. Kind of the
yeah. So
sure.
So we had a really lovely time, and then Josh and I got to chime in and do rock and roll trivia, and that was really great Friday. Really great Friday. Yeah.
All right. So Brian's keeping on this theme. He wants to explain to those from up north, which that would be us, we're in Pennsylvania, there is a difference between barbecue and grilling.
Yeah, there for sure is. Grilling's all about. Make sure I get this right. Grilling's all about faster heat. Where the presence of an open flame is not as detrimental to maybe the smoking process, and it's faster and it tastes really great, and then smoking meat, is where we want to take our time and do really rigorous temperature control, and make sure that the meat has enough time to absorb the smoke and the taste of the smoke and what the smoke does to the meat, and you kind of get this nice little pink layer on the outside of the meat if you've been successful, and man, it tastes really great, and your whole family loves you if you do a good job. So
basically the moral of this whole thing is Walrus Audio is the barbecue of pedal building.
You got a lot of guys here that really love to grill and smoke meat, so there's no shortage of meat here. So and we've got some vegetarians, and that's okay. We hire, that's not part of the application process. And so it's random, but yeah. And some guys that smoke meat here that are way more knowledgeable than me. So I'm the one asking questions for sure.
Is the process, do you own a cat? Do you eat leafy vegetables? What do you?
Yeah, exactly. Cat, leafy vegetables. Yeah, an animals person, exotic animals.
Yeah, I knew that we were getting there.
Full circle, baby. Right back to
you're one can light away from exotic.
Fantastic.
Oh, Colt, this is great, man.
All right, yeah. I mean, thanks so much for agreeing to come on and hang out, man. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to getting back together to record the pedals, to do pedal demos.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds great. It's great. You guys are great.
Unlike
Thanks for having me on.
Unlike some, we live for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So
hey, it's an excuse for you on the pedal demo thing. It started as an excuse for us to hang out, play gear, share the gear that we had, start getting some new gear. So we don't really care. It's just us having fun is what it comes down to. So it's beneficial to somebody that's awesome, and otherwise, we're having fun.
I love what you guys are doing. So, thanks for inviting me on, and love the channel, love the vibe. You guys are great.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I think that's Walrus Audio, guys. Go check them out. Go watch some YouTube videos. Go to their channel because it's more than pedal demos. They have plenty of cool in the shop videos to watch. So go check that out. And I think with that, Pat.
All right. With that, I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, especially if it has a coyote wolf on it. Right there. That's what you need.
Nice.
Thank you, Colt. That was fantastic, man.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks.